Good morning again, and I have a great big apology to make. For those of you who were watching this morning, thank you. I was on my personal page, didn't even know it until the video was over. I only have one phone. Mary has the two, so if there's a mistake when she's doing it, someone can contact her, but there's no way for anybody to contact me except through Mike's phone, and so I guess nobody caught it until it was over. So I'm very, very sorry about that. I was so concerned about the mic that I just went on my personal page. Anyway, it's already over and done with. But I do have these out of the oven, and I want to tell y'all, for anyone that didn't see the first part, I'm going to go over the recipe, and I'm going to tell you what I did. This is potato stacks, and it's 3 large bacon potatoes sliced thin. I used a mandolin, and then I tossed them in about 3 tablespoons of butter, a teaspoon of thyme, a teaspoon of rosemary, and that was fresh chopped herbs, about a teaspoon and a half of salt, about a half a teaspoon of black pepper. And I also lined the muffin pans. I brushed them with a little bit of bacon grease that was left over from the bacon that I cooked this morning. So I stacked them in the muffin cups, and I baked them for about 45 minutes, and I'm going to give my hands a quick wash. And we're going to put some grated cheese on them, and this is medium cheddar cheese. It's about a cup. And if you like sharp, or if you want to use pepper jack or whatever your favorite cheese is, you can. This is just what I use here. And then I've got 4 center cut slices of bacon cooked in the microwave. I cook it for a little over 2 minutes, 2.25 minutes, and then I take it out and turn it, and then I cook it for 20 seconds at a time until it's the crisp doneness that I like. And then I let it cool. You can't chop hot bacon. And I let it cool, and then I chopped it. Now you can use bacon bits if you'd like. I just prefer to use the fresh bacon. In the recipe that's online for our members, I put on there 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I didn't use olive oil when I coated these because I used the bacon grease to brush the muffin tins with. But I'll tell you what I did do. When I took these out of the oven, they seemed a little dry, so I did pour about 2 tablespoons of olive oil in a little bowl, and I just drizzled the olive oil on top so it got a little bit more moisture to it, a little bit more oil to it. And these are done, but I'm going to I checked them for doneness with a knife. I'm going to put a little bit of cheese and bacon. I'm going to put them back in the oven, and then I'll take them out. I'll talk until they get done. Now, you can see it looked like that I had these muffin tins filled, and I made 3 extra, but I think this is going to make about a dozen because I could have put more potatoes in here because they do cook down. So you can see there's a couple of tins, a couple of the wells that are not quite full. So I'm going to say this makes about a dozen. Now, if you're using smaller potatoes, you will need 4. I used 3 because they were bakers. So give me just a second. Let me rinse my hands off. And we're going to put the cheese and bacon on them. I also put some fresh cracked pepper on them before I put them in the oven. Now, if you'd rather put cheese in between the potatoes, you can do that, but my choice was to put them on top and put them back in the oven and let it melt. So basically all you're doing with this second round is you're just melting the cheese. So it's only going to take about 5 minutes, and my oven is on 400, and you want to always start off with a hot oven unless the recipe specifically says to bake something in a cold oven. You want to preheat your oven. And I think these would be good for breakfast. They'll be good for a side dish. And I think you could just eat them as a snack. You know, it's potatoes, seasoning, and the little bit of cheese, and then the bacon. Now I had a little cheese left because I've still got 3 in the oven that are cooking, and I'm just going to put a little bit of bacon on each one on top. They smell really good. And I don't know if I'll be able to figure out, or little Linda will be able to figure out a way to get that first part of the video back on our page instead of on my personal page. I'm gonna see if it's not too much trouble, and it may not can even be done. I don't know, but you know, sometimes you goof, and this morning I did. So I'm really sorry about that. You can watch it if you're friends with me. It's just going to be on my page, not going to be on Pinky Moss. Okay, so I used all of the bacon. So I still think that the 4 slices will be enough, though, because if this had been mashed down the potatoes, you're still using the same amount of bacon. So I'm going to put these over there in the oven. And thank y'all for getting back on here and bearing with me on this fiasco this morning. I'm going to set the timer for 6 minutes, and you can always put the broiler on if you know, if you want to get it a little bit more brown on top. You can put it on put your oven on broiler. Just be careful if you do that, because even on low, sometimes you can burn something really quick on the broiler. In case you wondering how I know, I've done it. I've burnt the whole top of a meringue pie one time that I was baking for someone back a few years ago, because I had it on low and I turned my back, and before I know it, the whole top of the pie was black. So I had to redo that one. But you know, we all live and learn, and sometimes mistakes are funny, sometimes they're not funny, but you know, you have to roll with the punches and go on. So to kind of repeat what I said this morning, this is Memorial Day. I hope that everyone is having a nice day. We honor the fallen soldiers from all the decades that have served in the armed forces. And my dad was in the Army. Both of his brothers were in the Army. His Uncle James, it wasn't his youngest brother, because his youngest brother got killed in an accident when he was 14, Uncle Clifford. But Uncle James actually was in 2 branches of the military. He was in the Navy first, and then when he got out, he re-enlisted in the Army. So he served in two different, what do you call it? 2 different options. That's not the right word I'm trying to say. Anyway, he served in the Navy and in the Army. And then Pinky Paw was in the Army. And so many of our uncles and cousins and were in the military of some kind. Of course, Mike was, Mary's husband was. Mary's husband was a Marine. Mike was in the Air Force. So, and today is, we honor all veterans always, but today is to honor the fallen. And for everyone that has lost a member of your family or your friends to service in the military, our thoughts and prayers are with you. And, you know, a lot of people came home from the wars wounded, and, you know, I've always felt like they should be honored too, which they are. But sometimes you don't lose your life at that time in the war, but you lose it later on due to something that happened in the war, like our daddy. So always think about that. And I have one of my friends in Mississippi, Pam, that sang with me in the trio, one of my sweet friends. They lost their son. Her and her late husband lost their son to a very tragic death from him dealing with things that he had to deal with in the service. And always think about him. And so many other people that have served and come home different than they left. And that's very evident in the letters Our house burned when I was 4 going on 5 years old, and Mother had a cigar box. People used to save cigar boxes to put school supplies in or letters or whatever, and Mama had a cigar box full of letters that Daddy had written her while he was overseas, and all of those were burned in the house. So I never got to read any of them, but I have all the letters that Daddy sent home to Pinky Mom and Pinky Paw, and to his sisters and his brothers. And Pinky Mom gave those to me several years before she died, and I have them in my possession. And when you read those letters, and of course they're all dated, but you wouldn't even have to have them in chronological order. I can tell you from the time that things changed for my daddy, because it's very evident in the letters. So don't ever think that we fly our flag for no reason. You know, it was paid for. Our freedom was paid for with many, 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 many lives, both decades ago, and people that lost their lives in the service, or that came home wounded in some way or another, whether it was physical or whether it was mental. They were wounded and eventually lost their life as a result of that. So I don't ever want to take freedom for granted, because there was a big, big price paid for it, and a lot of people paid a bigger price than others, and especially the ones that lost their lives. So it's always a reverent day to me. When we were growing up kids, we were involved with a lot of different VA activities, and some of this I said earlier. Maybe y'all will get to hear it again, I don't know. But we sold poppies. You know, they always sell poppies during a patriotic holiday, and we sold poppies many, many, many times for the VA. We went to many fundraisers and benefits. Nacogdoches has brick streets. Some of y'all watched my video this weekend or have seen our videos in the past, and Main Street and the streets around town have their brick. And so one year, and I don't remember how old I was, I want to say maybe 8 or 9, but I might have been older than that. But they did little tiny replica bricks, and I believe they had some kind of an imprint on them or not. Mary or Charles or Edward might can remember, I don't know, but I believe there was something on there. And we sold those little bricks, and we'd go to auction houses, and we'd go all over town selling them. And sometimes we'd get like $20 or $25 people would give us for one of those bricks. It was basically a donation, but it was to help wounded veterans and the organizations, either VFW or Veterans of Foreign Wars or American Legion. Those organizations really did help a lot of veterans, and they helped us. They helped my mother, get my daddy on disability, and also get him in the hospital, which, you know, if you've never been through any red tape with the VA, it is not easy, or at least it wasn't back in the 60s when our dad was going through it. I heard my beeper go off, so I'm going to check over here, and I'm going to see what they look like, and we'll see if they're ready to take out. Oh, they look yummy. Those look good. These are potato stacks, and I've still got that pan with 3 in the oven, but I'm going to grab a saucer here and get a little thing to get these out with. And let's see how they're going to taste. I kind of have a feeling that they might need a little more salt and pepper, but I'll find out in a minute. Just in case, I'll bring me some salt and pepper over here. Now, you may want to let these set a minute before you take them out. That's not what I wanted to take those out with. going to get this out earlier and I didn't. Okay, I'm just going to try to gently lift one of these up. They should come out pretty easy because the pan was greased. You can see all the layers. These were sliced with the simple slicer. It's Pampered Chef, and I had it on the setting for 1, which is 1/16 of an inch, so you can see all the different layers there. And again, if you wanted to put cheese between the layers, but I didn't want to do that because I didn't want the cheese to actually cook in them. I wanted them to, I wanted it to be on top. So that's why I didn't put it between the layers. I want to move this over a pinch here. And drizzling that little bit of extra olive oil on there, it absolutely did help give that a little bit more moisture. I'm just going to grab my knife here. Take a bite of this. Now it's got a little bit of crisp to it, but the potatoes are soft because they're done and you want them done. Thank you, Jesus. And I'm going to find out if I like it or not. I never eaten any potatoes that I didn't like, but I want to see if it's got enough seasoning in it. It actually does, because the bacon is salty and the cheese is salty, so you don't need any more extra salt. I was afraid you would need some, but you don't. So I hope that y'all will get in the kitchen and make some of these. And in the meantime, we'll work on seeing if we can get the first part of the video on here. If not, I may have to go back and do these again another day and try to get them on the right page this time. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for coming back on here and watching these. Have a safe Memorial Day. Be sure to count your blessings. And Mary and I will be on tomorrow at her house cooking, and I know she's going to be cooking something delicious. So we'll see y'all then. God bless you. We love you. And don't forget to count your blessings. Bye-bye.